guys? My name is Lauren. Welcome back to my channel. Now, in a recent video, I told you guys we had a goal of saving and investing between $5 and $10 million for retirement, and some of you guys were really surprised by that number, so I'm going to break it down in today's video. Knowing how much you're going to need to be comfortable in retirement is something you can estimate, but it's kind of a hard thing to really nail down because there's so many different factors that can affect how much you actually need versus want in retirement versus like where you're at and what your interests are and how expensive they are, and what your medical costs are and what the state of the world is going to be and what the economy is going to be and all these different things. But there are some ways that you could narrow it down. So there's actually a tool that I use to get this number, and also kind of my husband and I sat down and talked about like our goals and dreams for what we'll be able to do in retirement and how we'll be able to help our daughters with different expenses that they'll have at the age that they're like in their 30s and we're retired. So let's take a look, and I'll show you first of all how I got to like the 5 million number. Okay, so this is the NerdWallet retirement calculator. I'll link it below if you want to check it out. There's various retirement calculators. Also, if you work with a financial advisor, they'll run a much more like thorough projection for you of what you'll need in retirement based on a bunch of things they'll ask you about. But just to get like a rough estimate, you can use this. So this is just the numbers that it has in when you open it. So I am actually 35 years old, and our pre-tax income is around $150,000. And currently we have savings of about $100,000. And then here it has a place for you to fill in what percent of your income you're saving or how much you save every month. So just based on what we were able to do last year, we invested around $16,000. So if you divide that by 12, it's $1,333 a month. So let me change this to 1,333. And now it's updated. So if we just keep doing what we're doing and we don't invest any more than that, we will have about 2.47 million saved or invested by the time we retire, and it's estimating that we'll need about 4.33 million to keep up with our current lifestyle. Now, a couple things. One, this is just based on one person, so for two people, you don't need to necessarily double the number, but it definitely needs to be more than just for one person, because for medical costs alone, they estimate that it's going to be like several $100,000 that you pay for medical costs in retirement. So if you just round that up to the next million, that's how I got to like a minimum of $5 million for retirement for my husband and myself based on what our current income is. Now, if you look down here, it has some things that are different options. So it's assuming your monthly retirement spending will be 70% of your pre-retirement income. And part of that is because, you'll hopefully have your mortgage paid off. And then also once you stop contributing to retirement, that expense comes off of your budget and you're just drawing on your retirement savings and investments. So you don't need 100% of your pre-retirement income to maintain your same lifestyle. So 70% is the number that it uses. Some websites use more or less, but 70% I feel like is a fair number. And then here it's saying a retirement age of 67. It used to be more like 65, but they're upping it slowly as life expectancy goes up. They're kind of thinking that retirement age is going to go up as well, which a lot of people are working into their late 60s and 70s now. And then, I skipped over this, other expected income. This isn't taking into account any sort of Social Security. So for me, like to have peace of mind to know that if Social Security runs out for some reason here in the US, that we're not going to be putting ourselves in a bad position for retirement. But it's possible that we'll be getting like $5,000 of other income for Social Security. And so if that's the case, we will need significantly less. Like we'll have way more than we need. We'll only need $1 million, it says. But I'm not counting on anything from Social Security, and that way if for some reason Social Security runs out or the system gets changed so we would get significantly less from it, like let's say we only got $1,500 a month from Social Security at that point, we would still need to have $3 million at retirement. So it's just, I'm not banking on that. And as we get closer to retirement, I think we'll have a better idea if the Social Security system is going to be reformed to not run out of money, or what sort of changes will be made to it and what you can expect to get from Social Security retirement. But for now, I'm not including that number as part of something we're banking on to have in retirement. Now, there's a really cool resource that one of my friends told me about. Hi Jen, if you're watching, you can actually go now onto the Social Security website and see how much you would be eligible for at retirement age based on your current like work record and all the money that you've earned. So it's something kind of cool that you can track. You just go to ssa.gov and you're able to create a login and see actually two really cool things. One is how much money you've earned since you've started working, like in your lifetime of earning money. And then also you can see at different ages of retirement how much Social Security would pay you based on the current system. So if you retire at the earliest at 62, I think is the earliest you can start collecting Social Security unless you have some other circumstance like a disability or something. And then if you retired at like 65 or 67 or at full retirement age right now, I think is currently 70, which is the latest, like the most your Social Security can be if you start collecting on the later side. So if you want to check that out, it's a great resource. I logged in the other day and looked at my numbers and I thought it was interesting. So yeah, going back to this other income, I'm putting it as 0. Life expectancy is at 95 here. Obviously, if you lower your life expectancy, you know, the amount you'll need to save is lower, but you know, you got to kind of plan expecting to live longer and not run out of money. Plus, the goal is for most people to have something left over to pass on to their kids if they have kids, or leave something to other family or charity, or, you know, not end up with $0 at the end of your life. So that money can go to benefit others. And so that's another reason to have like a bigger goal for retirement. And then they have a 6% rate of return here. You know, this is kind of, I think, accounting for inflation. Historically, in the last 30 years, the stock market has returned more like 10%, but that's not a guarantee that the next 30 years will look the same during the years we're investing for our retirement. So that's kind of on the more conservative side. If we up this, obviously, we'd be more on track to hit that like $5 million goal. So if it was a 10% return, we would not have to do any more than we're doing right now, and we would hit 6 million by the time we are 67. But that also means we continue working all the way till age 67, and we do want to be like work optional, hopefully before our 60s, more like in our late 40s or early 50s, if we can figure out a way to do that. That's like a, you know, dream of ours. So also right now we are currently bringing in 150, but in a couple years when we're debt free, and hopefully we'll be bringing in more like 170, or let's say like 175 we're bringing in a couple years. And then once we're debt free, maybe we're able to invest like $3,000 a month of income. That's going to get us to 4.6 million by retirement age. And again, that's when it's only at this 6% rate of return. So even if we were at like 7.5%, we would be at 6.4 million. So like, you know, it seems like it's a huge number, but because we are in our mid 30s, if we do plan to work for the next 30 years, hitting that 5, 6, 7 million shouldn't be really that hard to do, as long as we continue investing every single month over the course of the next like 30 so years. And really, when you think about it, like 6 million sounds like a lot in today's dollars, but it's really more like retiring with 2 or 3 million, because you have to account for inflation too. So a dollar today is worth more than it's going to be at retirement age. And also, like, when you retire for 30 years too. So that's like another 30 years where inflation is going to impact your money. So all those things taken into account, if you think about $1 million today, to have $1 million 30 years from now, you'll need the equivalent of like between 2 and 2.5 million. So as time goes on, even though these seem like really big numbers, they end up being more attainable because of compound interest and just our money working for us in the market, and more necessary because of the fact that inflation does decrease the power of your dollars over time. So that's how we got to like the $5 to $6 million range. And then from there, it would be really nice to have like another amount of money to be able to put towards our daughter's college, to give them for a house down payment, to pay for a wedding, to put towards any other expenses that they may have. Like, you never know what sort of expenses are going to come up, or maybe one of us, my husband or I, has a medical issue that's really expensive, and healthcare in this country is not in a good place right now. Hopefully in 30 years when we're retiring, healthcare costs will have been, addressed more. But again, not banking on things that haven't happened yet. So if one of us has really high healthcare costs, then obviously that will eat into a lot of this. And so we just want to really dream big when it comes to retirement. And then if we fall short, or we end up, getting money from Social Security that we weren't expecting, or getting an inheritance or something like that towards our retirement age, then that will just help the situation. But not banking on those things is what gives me peace of mind as we're planning for our retirement now, when we've got so much lead time. All right, my battery died, so I had to take a quick break to charge it. But basically, I went over most of the stuff I wanted to go over. I think the only other point that I wanted to make is also one of our goals for retirement is to be more generous with our giving for charities and stuff. So all these things are kind of like things that we're talking about constantly. Like every 6 months or so, my husband and I sit down and we reassess our goals and we reassess our life and how we think we can maximize our happiness while also maximizing our comfort and our security. So balancing all these things can be kind of tricky, which is why it's something we revisit all the time and continue it as an ongoing discussion. It's not just a thing we talk about once and don't bring up again. So I hope this sheds some light as to how we set that goal of at least 5 million for retirement, and how it's not a super unrealistic goal for us based on our current financial situation, even though we only have 100,000 invested right now at age 35. If you have any questions about this, obviously this is just one retirement calculator. I plugged these numbers into a couple different ones and got similar results, but obviously there's different factors you can adjust, and that'll adjust how the numbers pan out. So if you have any questions about the numbers that I talked about in this video, then comment below. I'd be happy to answer any questions or clear anything up. Do you guys have a goal number in mind for retirement? If you do and you're comfortable sharing it, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think will be necessary and make you comfortable and feel secure in retirement for yourselves. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.